Have you ever wondered just how devastating the power of a modern nuclear weapon could be? In the blink of an eye, the world as we know it could be altered beyond recognition. The power of these weapons of mass destruction is truly staggering. Consider, for instance, a city the size of New York or London. A single modern nuclear weapon could wipe out the entire city, reducing it to nothing but ash and rubble. Imagine skyscrapers crumbling, landmarks erased from existence as if they were never there. The scale of destruction is not just limited to the physical structures. The loss of human life would be unimaginably high, not to mention the long-lasting effects on the environment and the psychological trauma inflicted on survivors. This potential for devastation is not confined to a single city. The fallout could affect regions far beyond the initial blast radius, causing widespread environmental damage and loss of life. The sheer magnitude of these weapons is a sobering reminder of the power humanity holds. To truly understand the scale of modern nuclear weapons, we need to travel back in time to the birth of the atomic age. It was during the throes of the Second World War that the world first glimpsed the immense power of atomic energy, harnessed not for peace, but for destruction. In the United States, a top-secret project codenamed Manhattan was already underway. Brilliant minds from around the world gathered in secret laboratories, racing against the clock to develop a weapon like no other. The first atomic bomb, Trinity, was tested successfully in New Mexico on July 16, 1945. The mushroom cloud that day marked not just the successful test of a new weapon, but the dawn of a new era. Just a month later, the world would witness the devastating power of atomic weaponry. Hiroshima and Nagasaki, two cities in Japan, were reduced to rubble within moments. The death toll was staggering. By the end of that year, an estimated 140,000 people in Hiroshima and 70,000 in Nagasaki had perished. The bombings brought the Second World War to a swift yet horrific end. The destructive potential of atomic energy didn't go unnoticed. Nations around the world began to invest in their own nuclear programs, sparking a global arms race. The United States and the Soviet Union, emerging as superpowers, led the charge. The number of nuclear weapons in the world rapidly grew into the thousands, each more powerful than the last. This was more than just an escalation of military power. The atomic age marked a fundamental shift in global politics. The balance of power was now measured not only in economic strength or military might, but in the number of warheads and the megatons they carried. The world was now held in the precarious balance of mutually assured destruction. The atomic age had begun, and with it a new era of warfare and global politics. The Cold War marked a time of rapid growth and escalation in nuclear weaponry. As the dust settled from the devastation of World War II, a new conflict was brewing. The Cold War. This was not a traditional war. The battlefield was the entire globe, and the weapons were not only tanks and infantry, but also the minds of scientists and the power of nuclear technology. The United States and the Soviet Union, two global superpowers, were locked in a chilling standoff. Each feared the other's capacity to wipe them off the map with a single nuclear strike. This dread sparked a nuclear arms race, a frantic scramble to develop the most potent destructive weaponry. In the early 1950s, the hydrogen bomb, or H-bomb, entered the scene. Unlike atomic bombs, which relied on nuclear fission, the hydrogen bomb harnessed nuclear fusion, the same process that fuels our sun. The result was a weapon of incomprehensible power, dwarfing the destructive capacity of the atomic bombs dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The United States was the first to develop and test an H-bomb in 1952. Not to be outdone, the Soviet Union detonated its own hydrogen bomb a year later. The stakes of the nuclear arms race had been astronomically raised. The fear of nuclear war seeped into everyday life. Schoolchildren practiced duck-and-cover drills, families built fallout shelters, and governments developed plans for a post-nuclear world. The world watched with bated breath as the US and the Soviet Union teetered on the brink of nuclear war during events like the Cuban Missile Crisis. This era saw the birth of the term mutually assured destruction. It was a grim acknowledgement that in a full-scale nuclear war, there would be no winners, only destruction on a global scale, the likes of which humanity had never seen. The Cold War era was a time of tension and fear, with the threat of nuclear annihilation looming large. Today, the landscape of nuclear weaponry has changed dramatically, but the potential for destruction remains. In the modern era, the nuclear landscape has evolved in ways that the pioneers of the atomic age could never have imagined. 9 countries currently hold the keys to the nuclear kingdom: the United States, Russia, the United Kingdom, France, China, India, Pakistan, Israel, and North Korea. Together, they possess approximately 13,500 nuclear weapons, a number that's been gradually decreasing over the years due to disarmament efforts and treaties. The United States and Russia, former Cold War adversaries, still possess the lion's share of these weapons, with each maintaining an arsenal of thousands. These two nations, once locked in a terrifying arms race, have led the way in nuclear disarmament through treaties like the New START agreement. Yet, despite these efforts, they remain the most heavily armed nuclear states. Meanwhile, countries like North Korea and Pakistan have emerged as new entrants into the nuclear club, raising concerns about regional stability and the potential for nuclear weapons to fall into the hands of non-state actors. Nuclear proliferation remains a significant challenge despite the best efforts of international treaties like the Treaty on the Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons. This treaty, often referred to as the NPT, is a landmark international agreement aimed at preventing the spread of nuclear weapons, promoting disarmament, and facilitating the peaceful use of nuclear energy. It's been signed by 191 nations, making it one of the most widely supported treaties in the world. Yet despite these agreements, and the overall reduction in nuclear stockpiles, the potential for destruction remains immense. A single modern nuclear warhead, far more powerful than the bombs dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, could level a city and kill millions. And with geopolitical tensions simmering in various parts of the world, the risk of nuclear conflict, though less than during the height of the Cold War, is still a reality we must grapple with. While the landscape has changed, the destructive power of nuclear weapons remains a significant global concern. So, how truly devastating can a modern nuclear weapon be? To truly grasp this, we must first understand the sheer power of these weapons. Modern nuclear weapons are measured in terms of megatons, each equivalent to 1,000,000 tons of TNT. To put that into perspective, the bomb dropped on Hiroshima in 1945, which caused unimaginable destruction, was just 15 kilotons, or 0.015 megatons. The largest bomb ever detonated, the Tsar Bomba by the Soviet Union in 1961, was 50 megatons. That's over 3,300 times more powerful than the Hiroshima bomb. The immediate impact of a nuclear detonation is a blinding flash of light and a wave of heat, followed by a devastating shockwave. Within a radius of several miles, most buildings would be flattened and the heat could cause third-degree burns over an extensive area. A nuclear explosion also produces a massive fireball, which rises rapidly into the sky, creating a mushroom cloud that can reach tens of thousands of feet high. But the devastation doesn't end there. A nuclear explosion also releases a pulse of electromagnetic radiation that can fry electronics over a wide area, potentially causing widespread disruption to infrastructure and communications. Following the explosion, there is the fallout, radioactive material propelled into the atmosphere by the blast, which then settles back down to the ground. This fallout can contaminate large areas, making them uninhabitable for years, even decades. The human impact of a nuclear detonation would be catastrophic. Hundreds of thousands, potentially millions of people could be killed instantly, with many more dying in the weeks and months afterwards from injuries and radiation sickness. The environmental impact would be equally devastating, with large areas rendered uninhabitable and ecosystems destroyed. Moreover, a large-scale nuclear conflict could have global implications. A nuclear winter, where soot and dust from nuclear explosions blocks out sunlight, could cause a drop in global temperatures, leading to crop failures and famine. The long-term effects of radiation could also cause an increase in cancer and other diseases, further adding to the human toll. The scale of modern nuclear weapons is a sobering reminder of the power we wield. With over 13,000 nuclear warheads in the world today, the potential for destruction is immense. But with this power comes a great responsibility. The use of just a fraction of these weapons could result in a humanitarian and environmental catastrophe of unimaginable scale. It is crucial, therefore, that we continue to work towards nuclear disarmament and non-proliferation, to ensure that these weapons are never used. The stakes are simply too high to do otherwise. The scale of modern nuclear weapons is a sobering reminder of the power we wield, and the responsibility we bear to prevent their use.